This is Carrie Johnson with the Iowa Department of Management, and this is part 5 of a series of brief webinars to provide county auditors and any staff that work in the valuation system with an overview of submission to Department of Management for the 2023 assessment year. What this particular segment will discuss are the various reports that you can obtain from the valuation system. So, reports are offered for valuations in particular. Under the reports section, you'll see the search options for budgets, amendments, and annual financial reports, because of course those documents are also part of our system, but then you'll also see valuation reports as an option. You'll then see the reports menu, and there's a variety of reports that are available to county auditors as well as the public. I'm going to focus now on those reports available to the county auditors. There are a variety of reports available specifically to county auditors that are not available to the public because they're more administrative in nature. With the reports, there are two types of ways you can view them. You can review them in a PDF format, which would be this red icon, or in a CSV file, which would be the green icon. So the CSV file, once downloaded, is going to look a lot like Excel, and you can dump that data into an Excel file so you can manipulate it in whatever way that might work for you. So when you do a different report, select any different report, you're going to select the report. And for most of them, it's going to obviously ask you for a year. And again, this is going to be the assessment year that you're going to want to select. So for the year that we're going to be working in, if you're looking at reports and doing some double checks, you're going to want to run the 2023 assessment year reports. LA type is just the levy authority type. And of course, you'd select from city or county or whatever, and then you'd also select your particular levy authority within that levy authority type. That would be your formatted levy authority code. In this case, we selected city, and then the particular city that was selected was Beaconsfield. When you select OK, you're going to get a green banner that will show you that the report is being generated, and then when it successfully runs, and you will see a download option. Be sure to click on that download to actually download the document onto your system. One important report that you're going to want to run is the gas and electric reconciliation report. So, what this report does is it provides, upon your filing of data and submission of data, it's going to list each and every tax district that has gas and electric value in it. So, each and every tax district that has gas and electric value, the assessed and taxable value for that tax district that are gas and electric. So, what you want to do is be sure to take this report and compare it to the Department of Revenue's initial certification that you obtained from them to make sure that you are balancing out by tax district, that you are submitting the same values by tax district. It's very important that you do this check. Sometimes mistakes happen. I've had folks upload the incorrect year before, things of that nature. So be sure you do that check. There are instances where, say, if you delete a tax district, you actually move the value of that tax district from one tax district to another. And there is a process that you need to do to complete that. You need to fill out a Form 2 for Department of Revenue and for the company that you work with, and communicate that move of value from one tax district to another to both parties, so that at the end of the valuation time frame, everyone has the same value in the same tax district. And we want to make sure that occurs prior to completion of the taxation process and undertaking the submission and spreading of the utility replacement tax by tax district. Another report that you'll want to run is a tax district summary report, and it lists each and every tax district, the different, descriptors or flags for that tax district, as well as the valuation. I wanted to point out here again, we have the schools only column for that new indication that we're going to have to be using in the future. It's all going to be no's. There's no data associated with it other than that, just a no flag. So just be aware of it. There's nothing you need to do with it, but don't be thrown by that new addition. Estimated TIF area revenue report. So this lists for your county the estimated TIF revenue by each and every one of your TIF areas. It's very important that you take a look at this report and make sure that it jives with what is anticipated to be received for TIF revenue based on the certified debt in those TIF areas. So, again, double check this, compare it to certified debt in those TIF areas. And this is often one that you're going to want to communicate to your TIF levy authorities. Key change report for taxing districts. You run this report. So if you made changes to taxing districts, so created new ones, deleted some, edited some. If you made taxing district changes, you'll want to run this report so you can take a look at it and make sure it is what you expect. If you didn't make any taxing district changes and you ran the report, you will see a no records found. So basically, it's telling you, well, you didn't make any changes, so we're not going to generate a report for you. And so, as long as that's what you anticipate, then that's what you'd want to see. Similarly, there's a key change report for TIF areas. This is, just a situation where we created a new TIF area. So obviously there was a change made, and this report just summarized the change that you actually made. Taxable valuation by levy authority. This is, of course, an important one that folks are going to want to see. Again, you select the year and the levy authority type to generate that report. And this is the one that we say is sort of our 6-column report. This is the taxable valuation for that levy authority, right? So this is telling this levy authority the value that they have that they can tax against. It's very important to look at it from that perspective. It's a report for this particular levy authority to see, to understand what value they can tax against. So the first 3 columns, of course, are the value that includes gas and electric values, and the value then that our tax rate would apply to. And then in the last 3 columns, we have the value without gas and electric, so the just property tax generating value, right? The difference between the two would be utility replacement tax revenue. And then the other thing important to recognize is that in both cases, the first column, so A over here and D over here, does not include any increment value. It is the value without increment. Column B is any increment value, and of course over here in E, and then C and F would be just the sum of these two in both cases, right? So this would be the value that if this was a levy authority that could levy for debt service, or if it was a school that also can levy for ISL and PEPL, and those 3 things can be applied to value with increment, then they're going to have numbers here. But if we're talking about a situation where somebody is a levy authority, say an ag extension uh, or an assessor, they're not going to see any value in this 3rd column in either case, or frankly, in the middle column. And why is that? Again, because they do not have a debt service levy that they can apply to increment value, and they don't, of course, have PEPL or ISL. So we're not going to want to tell them that there's value. We're not going to want to give them a number that includes value that they cannot tax against. So that's a very important report. It's used for lots of things. This report is what actually sort of fills the holes in the budget system for the value that people use in their budget. So this is sort of the source report for that. And check to be certain that each levy authority is correct and all 6 columns are correct. 100% valuations by levy authority. And again, this is a situation where we're going to want to make sure that these are correct here. I will say that this report has been updated to not only include military exemptions, but homestead exemptions as well. So that actual report looks a little different this year because it's going to say just exemptions deducted with an asterisk to indicate that those exemptions include both military and homestead. Levy authority valuations by class 100% intaxable. These are often used by levy authorities to review information that they've received and to understand how their value in their boundaries sort of break down as far as the different types. Different classes of property, like are we a community that's mostly residential? Are we 50-50 residential and commercial? What's the makeup of our value? That can be an often strong purpose for this report. And again, it's 100% and taxable. And so this, of course, lists TIF and non-TIF, each and every class of property. And then it does take into account exemptions, which, similar to what I talked about with the last slide, exemptions now include both military and homestead. So an important change to that report. So a few things to check. I always recommend that folks compare this year's total valuations by class to last year's valuations by class. Are there large changes? And if there are, can they be explained? Did you have a major business come on the tax rolls? And so that contributes to the large increase in, commercial value. Was there something that was actually, demolished, and so that left the tax rolls, et cetera, et cetera. So just sort of take a look and see if those changes by class are reasonable, if they make sense, or if they're sort of raising a question for you. And if they're raising a question, by all means, ask your assessor if you need more information on what might be behind a specific change. Tax district recap report. This is a PDF of that report. And if you've been reviewing these videos, you'll see that this looks a lot like just the information, the summary of information that you submit to Department of Management, right? It's one page is a tax district. And it's basically all the information about that particular tax district, right? It's all the sort of flags and informational pieces up above, all the, characteristics of that tax district. And then in the middle, we have 100% value, taxable value, those 2 columns, each and every class. And then we have, in this case, the removal of military exemption and homestead exemption as well. So this is just sort of our review of a tax district, right? Like the data that was submitted for that particular tax district. At the bottom of the tax district recap report, you do see the assigned levy authorities. So that's a good indication or a good just quick check to see what levy authorities are actually assigned to any particular tax district. And I do really like to point out the tax district recap report because if you're having if you have a tax district say that just doesn't look right, the value seems off, or something is not jiving with what you're seeing in your local system, this is the granular data here. This tax district recap is going to show you what was submitted for each and every tax district, and it's going to present it in a sort of a viewable way. So I think it's always a good place to come and look if you are running into problems or you have questions. The report itself is actually also available as a CSV report, so you can Again, run it as a CSV and dump it into Excel if that is something that's helpful to you. And I know at the end of sort of the budget season and when we're talking about tax rates, this report is also very helpful because it does provide for you the tax rate for each of the levy authorities within your county, and you can pull that data and do some comparison and make sure that that matches up with what you have locally. So that is just a brief overview of the reports that are available. There's lots of other reports, a lot of different ways the valuation data is sort of diced up and presented. If you have any questions about running reports or the particular uses of any reports or how they look, please let me know. I am available both by phone and email. Thank you.